Good day. How are we? This is the Atlanta Economic Sustainability Squad, and we are in COVID red conditions today. One of our members has stepped away. My name is Kira Solomon. I am the qualified broker for the Daily Real Estate Group. We have Nicole Gibbs on the line, and we are missing our rock, our Marion Lessington, who is our manager for Ameris Bank. Today we are going to continue with our discussion of money lasting strategies and just talk a little bit about being proactive versus reactive, and just coming up with different solutions in terms of how you can best save a dollar. So it looks like Nicole is definitely ready to get rolling, and we're just kind of going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to have just kind of a general conversation.
Yeah.
And again, Nicole, when we think about being proactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means being proactive means that you are in control of the situation and the conditions. You are setting the tone for the conditions versus being reactive. A reactionary person or reaction is going to be responding to whatever the stimuli or whatever the circumstances that have you may be are in place. You're responding to that. So we know that we're still in the midst of this COVID condition, and the governor has released a statement stating that Georgia will be able to open its doors again, and certain businesses will be able to open their doors as early as this Friday, April 24th. Meaning that we can go to the movies, I think it is, and their theaters and different things like that are going to happen. And then on Monday, you can even dine in. Now, bars will be closed, but you can go out. Now, the question is, we are still facing a threat.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The threat has not been mitigated. I mean, they're trying to get rid of it, but they haven't completely. So do we turn a blind eye and just go along with as life is normal? Because life is not going to be normal. We've been closed. Our economy, the world economy, has stopped for how long has it been?
It's been about March 10th. About March 10th.
So little over 2 months.
Yeah.
For a little over 2 months, we have been in extreme conditions, extreme lockdown conditions.
Absolutely.
And now we're supposed to just traipse back into the land of the living like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That would be the reactionary approach, I think.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about mindset. And so just because someone dangles a carrot in front of you does not mean that you have to eat it.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to touch a little bit on that, but also just thinking about, stores are now open, and we can actually go shopping again, and we can do certain things like extracurricular activities and spend money.
Yeah.
But again, most people, or not, I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people have not had an income.
Right.
Now, you shared a story with me about Walmart and Family Dollar and just your observations after that stimulus check hit last week, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share with us a little bit about the what you saw and the mindset of the folks with the buggies?
So the only reason why I went out on Saturday was to meet one of my clients, because I had to deliver policies to her. So I met her closer to her side of town, and she signed her policy receipts, and I needed to run in Walmart to grab my essentials. I take some apple cider vinegar pills, and unfortunately, Walmart is the only place that carries this brand because it has like cayenne pepper, maple, and ginger all in this, compacted in this pill. And I can only find it at Walmart. Went there to pick that up, and also like office stuff that I needed. So as I'm in line with my 4 items, now there's no shade against anybody who shops and things like that. I'm not judging, but as I'm in line with my essential things, I see a couple walk by with masks on, 2 huge bicycles. And I'm like, wait a minute, is it April? Is it December, or is it Christmas? Like, what's going on here? Like, oh, maybe that's for maybe that kid, wanted that for a birthday gift. But we all know in our community, when you get bicycles, when do you normally get bicycles?
That's a Christmas gift.
Christmas. So it's like,
birthday.
and I went to the Family Dollar, and with the Family Dollar, the girl had the line held up with a buggy full of toys, right along Frozen toys. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, I don't understand the mindset of our people. Yeah, we spend trillions of dollars. Yeah, that's the cliche, but that does not have to be our narrative. The reason why they opened up these particular places, why in the heck would you open a tattoo parlor?
Right.
That is not an essential.
That is certainly not essential.
A bowling alley.
Right.
What? After you shut down the NBA, the hockey league, everything is shut down, and the first thing you're going to open is a tattoo shop.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And then I heard that there was a line of people, and I don't want to stay on this, but that is the reason why we have these money managing strategy sessions, because our people, they lack because of ignorance. They lack knowledge because they're ignorant to the fact and to everything that's going on. The media only puts out the media always has the opinion of someone. You understand what I'm saying? So
I agree. It's always someone's interest that they're serving. So the question is whose interest, and typically it's not ours. So as you see people, as you're going out and you're venturing back out into the world, be cognizant about why is it that the governor is allowing this to happen at this time. It does not make sense.
And he also did not. I'm sorry to cut you off. He also did not consult with any mayors.
Right. The mayors are not having it. They're like, please, they're urging. At least I know Mayor Lance Bottoms is urging Atlantans to stay home.
Stay home.
In New York, the amount of people that I know personally that have had this particular disease and have, fought it tooth and nail. I've seen the medication that they've had to take. They're still, coughing, and people are like, this is not a flu. This is not a regular flu. The nurses will tell you, listen, this is scar tissue that ends up on your lungs. This is not anything that they have seen before. Now, yes, it might have been a virus that was out previously. Okay. Can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So just, it may, the coronavirus, because it's obviously, and so on the back of the can of the Lysol, and, you've had authors to write about coronavirus, but there are over 400 different strands of the daggone virus. So this particular strand that we are dealing with is clearly something that's unprecedented. So why would they take the chance to go back when you have a global pandemic and how many people are dying? So we're talking about mindset, and we're talking about being proactive and just really taking things into your own hands, not allowing for someone else to really control your life. I mean, obviously there are powers that be, and there are situations that we have to adhere to, and there are rules and regulations. However, within those rules and regulations, does it say that you must stay in your place of residence if you can't afford to stay there. There's such a thing as called downsizing, okay? And if we downsize, is that going to allow for us to have a better quality of life? I would say yes. Now, I am working actively with various clients who have who made kind of the decision before COVID hit. So it just kind of coincided. But they're so happy that they made the decision to actually move forward because we already had certain things in motion. So with that said, if you find yourself in a position where you're not sure, you're questioning whether or not you can do it, chances are you shouldn't be there. You want to have at least 3 to 6 months of reserves on hand, okay, in your bank account. If you don't have that, then you probably need to move so that you can save. Now, I know sometimes we move to certain areas, maybe for our children, for a better education, but I want you to think about if this applies to you. If it does, you want to also think about maybe your commute, okay, and the time that it's going to take for you to get to work. Or you want to think about something called a walkability factor. What's the likelihood of you walking maybe to work, or walking just within the community itself, or walking to transit? If you have to determine that, there's something called a walk score. The walk score is from 0 to 100, and it just allows for a person to put in a physical address, whether it be the address that you're currently living in or looking to move to, and it will give you a rating. And again, that's on a scale of 0 to 100. And once you see that, it will allow you to know whether or not that place may be a good fit for you. Now, if you don't plan to walk, or if walking is not an issue for you, maybe you're biking. I see a lot more people biking in the city, Nicole, and it's awesome. I think that as people begin to become more health conscious, obviously biking is of consideration. Well, in addition to your walk score, you now can put in the address and you have a bike score. And that will tell you how, what the conditions are and what the likelihood of you riding your bike would be to work or to home or what have you. In addition to that, which is really a big factor, and this is where the rubber meets the road and really puts some dollars in someone's pocket, is a transit score. The transit score operates the same as your walk score and the same as your bike score. However, it's rating, obviously, the transportation system and how quickly or how accessible it is to that particular community or that home. Now, what does that mean for you? Let's just say if you are a seller. If you have a score of 95, guess what? A buyer might be more interested in your property because obviously you're closer to the transit line, which saves them some money. And guess what? If you're saving that buyer money, that money is ultimately going to go in your pocket. Within the city of Atlanta, the cost per dollar increases the likelihood of a savings for a seller of about, I think, $2,000. It was like $1,901. Okay, just each time that your score is increased. So if it increases by 1 point, you could conceivably have, based on the average sale, up to almost $2,000 in your pocket just on that transit score. So that's huge information. Again, this is all about our mindset and what we need to be thinking about if we have to make a move. And yes.
Kira, I think you are on mute.
My apologies. And so if you're forced to think about transitioning, downsizing, or shifting, or just making a move in general, and you want to understand a little bit more about the market, you want to contact me with regard to the market data. Okay, you want to find out specifically how your market is faring. So for instance, in the 30310 area code, and zip code, and I use that one as a reference point because that's kind of towards the West End. You've got MARTA and so forth. A lot of activity happening in that community towards Oakland City and West End and other parts. So, but if you want to know about your community, and let's just say you live in Sewanee, or you live in Fayetteville, or you live in Johns Creek, you can contact me and I would be more than happy to sit down with you, go over market conditions. Or if you, let's just say you have a commercial property and you want to know what the valuation is for that particular property, I'm more than happy to provide an analysis for you and allow for you to understand how you could put more money in your pocket. So Nicole is going to go over some things with you, and I'm super excited about what she has to share. We also have a special person joining us next week, and they and it looks like Nicole is prepping us for that conversation. Yes. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, and she is going to take it away and give us some really great information. But again, my name is Kay Saul. I'm with the Daily Group. You can find me on all social media under the Daily Group, DALEY. I would look forward to helping you save money.
Thank you, Kay Saul. I appreciate it. So I'm gonna just jump right into it. So we have a special, we are actually a panel of professional experts, and what we're trying to do is, like Kira said, change the mindset of people that may not be knowledgeable about some of the things that we know about based on the industries that we work in. I am an insurance agent, and I also am going to be an investment advisor. So I champion the cause of being proactive versus reactive. One of the things that I actually help my clients out with now, as far as estate planning, well, the lawyer that's going to come on, so I jumped all over the place. So that's, you see how my mind works, right?
Yeah, so
okay. Like ADHD on steroids. So anyway, so Kira is our real estate professional expert. I am your financial services expert, and Marion is our banking finance expert who isn't here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what he was going to basically prepare, and he prepared for you guys and wanted to present this information to you. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but hopefully we can get this lawyer on board. She does estate planning, and basically everyone needs a plan. I'm just going to kind of give you a quick, simplified synopsis of estate planning. It sounds like this really hard, complicated thing to some people who are not well versed when it comes to preparing for the future, but it's really not. Everyone needs a plan and a directive. Like, it's just basically directions on what you want to happen with your finances, what you want to happen with your body once you pass away, God forbid. But I mean, the end result of your life is death. That's the end result. Now, everything you do in between is totally different, but the final thing is death, and we all are going to experience that. So the directive or the directions that you put in your estate planning document is what will happen with your finances, your body. If you're in a situation with your health, there's a healthcare directive. I'm going to talk about that. So everyone needs a plan. If you cannot afford to see a lawyer, I would suggest you sit down with your partner, your spouse, your family, your kids, and you guys talk about this. During this time, I feel like there's been an opportunity for us to kind of start thinking ahead and futuristically thinking about how we want to prepare when it comes to certain instances. My dad, he actually had me and my sisters come home for Thanksgiving. It was a hoax, but he was like, I'm going through my will, and I want everybody here so we can go ahead and do this together. Not only did we not work on the will, we really didn't get anything accomplished but eating some turkey. But the fact that he was like, okay, y'all, let's sit down and let's talk about it, he knows that we need to go ahead and really have this conversation. I'm not going to say my age, but they're almost retired. So what that means is they're getting closer and closer to that end date. So in understanding that, estate planning is understanding that everyone needs a plan. A will or a living trust is definitely two options you want to explore. Even if you can't afford a lawyer, sit down with your family, talk about the things that you can talk about. Get on YouTube University and Google, what is a will? What is a living trust? A lot of my customers, because I'm in the business of death, a lot of my customers, we actually do a poor man will. And a poor man's will is basically you writing out exactly how you want your insurance policy to be distributed. You can put your beneficiary or the chosen person that you want to receive the death benefit amount from your insurance policy. You can put that person as the beneficiary, but you also can give directions or a directive through a will by saying, hey, I want Kay Saul to receive the house. She is going to take care of this house. This is going to be the family house. We cannot sell it. It will stay in the family. I want Nicole to receive $30,000 to put towards the taxes for the house, to make sure that the taxes are always paid. So basically giving directions on who you want to do what is all a will is. And a poor man's will is you and your partner, your spouse, or anyone like that, writing this information out and sealing it, getting it sealed and not opening it, mailing it to yourself, and giving it to someone who you know would be able to be the responsible person and not, try to do any fraudulent type of funky business. So that's basically what a poor man's will is. A lot of people get it done when they do their insurance policies. I encourage it, and I also notarize it so that it is a legal document if things were to go to probate. So estate planning also deals with the risks and dangers of probate. What Marian had prepared for you guys was understanding that when you go into a bank and you open up a checking account, a lot of times people pass away and there's no beneficiary on the checking account. You literally can just tell them who you want the money. If there's money in your checking account, when you pass away, it is held up in probate court. Last week we talked about missingmonies.com. If you go into that website, a lot of money is sitting there from different states because of checking accounts. They don't have beneficiaries on there. So actually putting someone as a beneficiary on your checking account is something that is proactive and not reactive. Imagine having to fight with the people in probate about your mama's checking account. That's just unnecessary. So,
it's so funny. If I can just intercede for just a second, I have a client now. Well, not a client. She's a prospective client, but the house is now in foreclosure, and I won't say that she would. Well, yeah, it was somewhat reactionary. The father passed away, and the siblings. The father designated the house for the young lady. She had to then go and get signatures from her siblings, and of course, there's always one or two that want to hold out to see how much the money is and blah blah blah. So in the course of just being, unfortunately, greedy, right, and in the course of people not coming together in the spirit of doing what's right, meaning what that person who passed away, what he wanted,
right.
The house is now in foreclosure. So I've got to try to help her save the house. But I think you mentioned something about just people collectively coming together and not having to go through the probate process and so forth, because it can be time consuming and you can lose the home is my point.
Yeah, and that's not cool, especially if the home was in the family for a long time and now you have to fight. I just think all of that is just so unnecessary when all you have to do is just a lot of people think that future planning, it involves a whole lot, but if you have someone advising you or you can consult with and that can help you, you need to take advantage of that.
Right.
Yeah. So estate planning basically includes the growth protection, and transfer of a person's wealth through the creation and maintenance of an estate plan. And it's a fancy word for basically saying, these are the directions that I want you guys to take when I pass away. That's basically what it is. That's basically what it is. So I wanted to talk about the healthcare proxy because in my field, working in life and health, there are a lot of people that I had to find out about it because when somebody asked me about it, I was like, yeah, sure, I know all about it and didn't know anything. So it was yet something else that I learned in this field that people need to have. I want to kind of share this. I read this article from amp.wbur.org. It's basically just a site that kind of speaks about some insurance things and just insightful things. And it was basically this man in his 60s. He had a progressive illness. His kidney was failing. He was on dialysis. He had been in and out of the hospital for like the past few months, often requiring admission to the intensive care unit, sometimes even on a ventilator. How familiar does this story sound? This sounds just like the people that are passing away from the COVID-19, people that are on ventilators, people with pre-existing conditions, people that passed away, had no idea that this particular plague or crisis or whatever you want to call it was going to take them out, and they were not prepared. So basically his disease continued to get progressively worse. It affected his cognitive abilities, and he was unable to really make decisions for himself. Now, the doctors and nurses and everybody agreed that they should just go ahead and stop the dialysis treatment and enroll him in a hospice. However, because his wife, now you would think that marriage certificate means the world when it comes to your partner or your spouse, but evidently it doesn't, because there was a catch with the hospice situation, whereas in his wife was not his healthcare proxy agent, she was just his guardian. So
how does that work? Wow, how does that work?
So listen, a healthcare proxy and a guardian are not the same thing, although it sounds like they are. Anyone, remember we were talking about this yesterday, Kira, a power of attorney, a guardian, an executive of an estate, all those titles mean nothing if there's a life or death situation when it comes to that person. If there's nothing in place that speaks to it, sometimes the doctors can they can basically make the decision on what you should do concerning your loved one if you don't have a document in place. So what you see here on the screen is advanced directives is basically just directions on what you want to happen when you pass away. This is a part of the estate planning we talked about. The healthcare proxy basically designates a person to make healthcare decisions. I want to go to the myths, but this is the person that you name. It doesn't have to be your power of attorney. It doesn't have to be any of those things like I stated before. Sometimes I repeat, but you do not have to be the power of attorney. The power of attorney is normally over your finances, your bills. That's also an executive of the estate. When you announce that person and sign documents concerning those type titles, that person normally takes care of your bills, makes a decision when it comes to, like, if you want to sell your home or if you shouldn't sell your home. If you're not cognitively available to do those things, that's what your power of attorney does. Your healthcare proxy, or the person that you put in charge over your healthcare, basically specifies who you appoint to make healthcare decisions on your behalf, and what powers this person has is like remaining or not remaining on life support, donating your organs, deciding if you are on a machine, a life support machine, if they should pull the plug. It's just so many different decisions that could come into play when you're sick and you're about to die and you can't make the decisions for yourself and you don't have anything in place. So just wanted to kind of give you guys some of this information. Some myths about the estate planning really quickly is that, it doesn't stand up in court. That's not true. If the document is notarized, it stands up in court. You don't want to have to go to probate court and fight over all of these things. If these things are in place, this is being proactive, guys. So all of this information is online. I don't want to continue to go on. Just want to kind of wrap this up and let you know, whenever you're thinking about estate planning, you need to think about a will. A will can be created in a poor man will state, or you can go to an attorney who can give you an advice and kind of help you draw one up. An advance directive is somebody that you basically allow to sign your healthcare proxy. Make sure that is included. What I'm going to do on my website, I am going to upload a healthcare proxy so you can print it off yourselves. I am in the Atlanta area. Nicole Gibbs, ATL Insurance Chick. I can notarize it for you. Kira can notarize it for you. If you're on the east side, I'm on the south side. If you're on the west side, Jamel can notarize it for you. Download it. Have this conversation with your family. Figure out who you want to designate as that person, and that's one less thing you have to do. As far as power of attorney, especially my senior citizens, if you're older or if you are listening to this and you're the daughter of someone that is sick and progressively getting worse and they're going to the transition, you need to go ahead and start looking at their insurance policy, getting all their deeds, bank account statements, insurances, social security statements, getting all of those things together, compiling usernames and passwords to all their accounts that they may need closed. You need to get everything together right now, especially while we're on lockdown. So that's one less thing you have to do when everything is up and running. And when that day does come, you're not running around looking for this and looking for that and trying to put your hands on that. So that's basically what we wanted to talk about today. Just kind of wanted to give you guys some proactive measures on how to estate plan, how to strategize when it comes to your future self, understanding that medical emergencies can come in the form of a stroke, God forbid, a heart attack, COVID-19. Just kind of want to let you know that if those things does happen, you have something in place so that if you're not able to make the decision on what should happen with you, somebody that you trust will. So thank you so much. Kira, did you want to have, or do you have any last words or anything?
I guess last words are going to be stay hydrated, stay healthy, and be proactive. You know, think about the information that's coming to you and why it's coming to you. If it doesn't serve your interest, then it's serving someone else's.
I'm sure.
Yep.
All right, we'll see y'all next Wednesday at 3.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.